TCL is one of those brands that just exists. It's one of those Chinese companies you don't really think about often unless one of the TVs is on a huge sale or whatever. However, they've recently announced something that's going to pretty much put them on everyone's radar. So you know local dimming zones? So you can have just some of the pixels lit up and complete darkness in another section of the display? Or they've basically announced the same thing but for refresh rates. So you can essentially have one part of your screen be say 120 Hz while yet another part of it can be as low as just 0.01 Hertz. Now naturally it's not going to matter too much for say TVs or your regular desktop monitors, however for stuff like laptops, well there, it's going to make a huge difference when it comes to maximizing power efficiency, because naturally a higher refresh rate means more power draw. So imagine that the refresh rate is maxed out on any sections of the screen that demand it, but it also is just kept at a minimum on any kind of static elements, and it can just then dynamically change and adapt depending on what you're doing with the screen, what you're viewing and where. So if you have just say a YouTube window open, well only those sectors are going to be high refresh rate, while everything else will be dropped to as little as 0.01 Hz. Though there are of course still some issues with this approach, like with early local dimming zones displays, they did not have a lot of zones, and here we're also starting off with just 12 in the models that TCL showed off. And then another key factor is actually how quickly these can adapt to what you're doing on the screen. So if you just quickly zip your mouse across from one into the other, do all of the areas your mouse cursor covers in that time actually switch over in time so that the motion remains smooth. We'll only be able to see that once it's actually a real product. And to be fair, that could be happening a lot sooner than you think. TCL said that they're pretty much nearing the production stage for this technology, though of course it still has a long way to go. And only device manufacturers, be it say for laptops, for tablets, for phones, actually have to adopt this into their designs, but also the OS makers, like say Microsoft, also have to actually ensure that the OS is able to take advantage of this. Obviously, it's a lot more complex than just setting what your refresh rate is in Windows settings or whatever. So is this something you're looking forward to? And what kind of devices would you love to see it on first? Well, let me know down in the comments below, and while you're at it, maybe we should check out our Patreon, because even a single $1 a month truly goes a long way. Plus, huge thanks to Gavin Burns, Jason Rage, Ella Vronyak, Padosh Roken, Another Pseudonym, Make Some Machine, Allcraft, and Mason Magruder. But anyway, that's about it, so I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, then remember to subscribe, like, whatever, and see you all in whatever I make next. Goodbye everyone, goodbye.